Okay guys, we're going to be doing a bait challenge today with yellow perch. So I'm going to be using a bunch of different baits, some that I've used before for perch and others that I haven't, and just see how the perch respond to these different ones. So let's get started. I got a bunch of perch chewing on my gear right now, so I need to get focused. Okay, so the first thing we're going to use is, I'm just going to use a tungsten jig this whole time. I'm going to use just spikes or maggots. And these are bottle fly larvae. I have a lot of confidence in these baits. They tend to stay on the hook really well, and they juice out with a lot of protein when the fish bite onto them. So that's why I like them. They do tend to hold on to them when they bite these. There we go. Got him. Ooh, that's a nice one too. Look at that. Hammered the maggots. All right, next we're going to try waxworms, which is the larva of a bee moth. Quite a bit larger than a maggot. A lot juicier. We'll see. I usually put multiple maggots on, but I'm just going to put one waxworm on. You can see it's quite a bit larger bait. I've actually never used waxworms for perch, so I guess we'll see how this goes. I'll be really curious. Now, maggots tend to stay on the hook really well. I think the reputation is that waxworms can be easily stripped. So I guess we'll see if that's true. Oh, I might have a trout after my gear. Yep, there's a trout chasing it right now. Do not want him. Ah, I got the trout. Well, we know they catch trout. Little guy. He did strip my bait, which trout tend to do. Let's put another waxworm on. See how it goes. The waxworms definitely are big and juicy, that's for sure. Alright, we got our first fish coming in to look at the waxworm. Oh yeah, well he liked that waxworm. There's no hesitation there. You can see how big that waxworm is. They obviously have good reason to love that. Tasty looking. Alright, well I definitely have some confidence in the waxworm because they were kind of inspecting those maggots, but man, as soon as they saw that waxworm, both the trout and the perch went straight for it. Alright, so next we're going to do mealworm. Mealworms are nice because they're super easy to breed at home. They last a long time in the fridge. You know, most of my maggots and waxworms, I'm going to get about 30, 45 days in the fridge, typically, and under normal use before they all pupate. But mealworms are super easy to breed and make more, and they'll hold in the fridge for a good 45, 60 days. So that's why I really like them. I've used them a lot for trout, but not so much for perch. And I usually use the jumbo ones. These are the smaller ones. Alright. Oop. That guy's chasing it already. Oh man, that didn't take long at all. So they're really digging them mealworms. They're not being choosy on that. There we go. Another fatty. Now mealworms are actually the larvae of darkling beetles. So after they pupate, they turn into beetles, unlike a lot of other baits. Alright, so next bait on the list is a really weird one. And that is a thing called a mousey. A mousey is a drone fly larva. They live in anaerobic conditions, so they have this little appendage on their tail. Well, they actually have a tail, which looks like a mouse tail, hence the name. And that allows them to more readily gather oxygen in the habitats they live in. That little tail looks really tasty. There we go, got them. They're definitely hitting the mousies too. One of the things I've noticed about these mousies is they stay on the hook well, and they milk out some protein when they get squashed, so those perch really hold on to them. Alright, in my state it's illegal to use live minnows as bait. We can use dead minnows, so I'm going to try a minnow head that's been preserved in salt and see if they'll take a minnow head. Alright, so there's the minnow head. See how this goes. They seem very turned off by the minnow head. Just cannot get them to show any interest. I'm going to pull it up and try something else. I'm not confident with this minnow head. It's just not giving me fish. Let's try a perch eyeball. That is a very, very popular bait. I got a perch eyeball on there. A real perch eyeball. Trouble with a perch eyeball is you gotta catch a perch first. But they stay on the hook really well. Lots of little protein bits on the eyeballs. They're nice when you shake them. There we go. Perch eyeball works. See the perch eyeball there? I think it works well because it just stays on the hook, and there's lots of proteins and stuff that come out of there when you're jigging it. Lots of little chunks of meat and stuff hanging off the side. It just seems to really get their attention. All right, next I'm going to use some fake perch eyes from Roadside Minnows. These are scented, and we'll see if the fake perch eyes are just as good as the real thing. They definitely should stay on the hook just as well. A lot of curiosity in it. Hey, there we go. Got one. So they won't take it quite as readily as they would take bait. Obviously, they probably can't sense those proteins or taste and smell those proteins. Ooh, that's a big one. But they still hit it nonetheless. There you go. You can see that fake eye in there. It's just like a perch eye. Got that little tail on there to give it some action. But they seem to like it. So the last one I'm going to do is nightcrawler. I'm going to just pinch off a piece of it. I think nightcrawler is probably my least favorite just because it's so messy. But it is widely available. So we'll see how they react to the nightcrawler. Alright, got our chunk of nightcrawler there. Let's see how they react to it on camera. Alright, first customer. Ooh, looking. Oh yeah, no hesitation on hitting that. Went right for it. Another nice one. Look at that. Arr. All right, so that concludes the bait challenge. I think I had success on everything except the minnow heads today. Definitely it seemed like the night crawler and the waxworms, they just without hesitation hit it right away. It could just be by chance that I just got down right in front of a hungry fish. But easily caught fish on perch eyes, plastic perch eyes from roadside minnows, maggots, and mealworms too. Mealworms seem to actually have pretty good success. So I think it goes to show that there's no magic bait for yellow perch. You can use a variety of ones, but sometimes size of the bait does matter, and the prey base that you're fishing in. So in this lake, they feed primarily on, arthropods. So they really weren't keyed in on that minnow. Maybe they might hit minnow heads more readily in lakes like Lake Cascade, where they're feeding on fish. So if you have any questions, just let me know. I order all of my baits through the mail since they're almost impossible to get in stores in Washington State. And I'll put a link to that company that I use below called bestbaits.com. All right, I'll see you next time out on the ice. And just remember, fish smarter, not harder.